What's going on, guys? Sticks here with Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you the second part of my three-part mini-series, The Many Types of Silvally. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. Helps us out a lot and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And also, if you are new to the channel, there is a link to our Discord in the description below here at TTM. We are a collaborative channel, which means there is more than just obviously the TCG, which is what you clicked on this video for. We also have draft format content, as well as the occasional Smogon content, if Maddie or Abe ever decide to do that. But that is reflected in our Discord as well. We have channels for TCG, draft format, and Smogon, so feel free to check that out if you guys would like. And then also, for the question of the day, this video is going up a couple days after April Fool's, and so that got me thinking about what is your favorite April Fool's prank that you've either ever pulled or that you've ever heard of pulled. So I've only done a select few here and there. I mean, I'm a jokester, but I really don't necessarily put in a ton of effort to have like a very elaborate prank. For the longest time, my favorite one was one that I pulled in, I think, 2nd grade. I had a teacher named Mr. Lion, who was our PE teacher at the time. And so on April Fool's Day, I gave my mom a note. Well, I actually went up to the principal and asked for one of those, like, what were they called? Like, trouble slips? I don't remember what it was called, because it wasn't a detention slip. It was like a, I don't know, it was basically you were written up if you got one of these. You had to take it home, have your parents sign it, and then call the teacher, call the principal to have a meeting. So basically, if you got one of those, it means that you did something bad. So what I did, and this is when I was in 2nd grade, I'm actually very proud of myself for pulling this off. I went to the principal, asked for a blank one, and actually I didn't ask for a blank one, I asked for him to write it up, telling him that telling my parents that I did something bad and that they needed to call Mr. Lion in order to have a conference about what my punishment should be. So I had them write that, but instead of the school's phone number, I had the principal write the local zoo's phone number. And keep in mind, I'm still in 2nd grade, so I don't know how I came up with this, but I had the principal write me up, say that I did something to where my parents needed to call Mr. Lion, and then I had them write down the number for the local zoo. So when I came home, gave the note to my parents, they were obviously very mad, because, I mean, you did not get in trouble in my family. It was very, very strict. If you got in trouble, you were going to get punished. And so they obviously got very mad at me, and when they called and found out that it was the local zoo, they were confused at first until I explained what I did, and obviously they didn't believe me, because, I mean, come on, like a 2nd grader coming up with that. And so they ended up talking to the principal the next day, and he told them what all had happened. And so, I mean, it was just a really, really cool situation that I was very proud of myself as a 2nd grader for coming up with. So what are your guys' favorite April Fool's pranks and why? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what kind of shenanigans you guys have gotten into. But anyway, onto the deck. Sorry, I talked for way too long. Like, I just had to explain everything that went into that whole prank of mine. This is going to be Silvally with water, and this list is pretty much directly taken from Aurabomb. I take lists from him. Actually, haven't done it as much recently, but I used to take lists from him all the time. This one is no exception. I saw his video on this and was like, wow, this is a very, very cool deck that actually works really well in the testing that I've done with it and the testing that he obviously put into it. So it's something that you guys should definitely go check him out. He has amazing deck lists and puts out quite a bit of very cool and very original content. But it's Silvally water with basically just speed, Aqua Patch, Max Elixir, and even though other decks are around Silvally accelerating energy, while this one definitely does have that option and the ability to do so, mainly it's around being able to just Blizzard Burn repeatedly with Lapras, because you have the combination of Dawn Wings, Necrozma using Invasion to come on in And then with Silvally, you get the free treat back into Lapras so that you can reset the Blizzard Burn in order to hit for 160 on back-to-back turns. It's a very, very cool combination that works out very well. And also, you don't even need Floatstone on Dawnwing's Necrozma, like I said, because of the Silvally. So it works out very well. And then the combination of the drives lets you hit different things for super effective damage. And this deck really is just kind of teched out to deal with different matchups, and it works out very nicely. So I'm just going to start with the Mons from the beginning. We have one Oranguru for draw support. Again, using Oranguru instead of Octillery because basic Pokemon get the ability to have free retreat from the Silvally-GX. Only a 2-2 of Type Null and Silvally. I tried a 3-3, but it actually ended up being a little more clunky than I would necessarily want in this deck, because this deck is a lot about speed, and you can actually get off turn 1 attacks quite often with the combination of Aqua Patch and Max Elixir. So being able to have a relatively streamlined deck does make a big difference. And yes, 2-2 does leave you kind of susceptible to either having things prized or not getting them when you want them. But it does work out that you can get a Silvally more often than not when you need it, because you're really just relying on it for the Gyro unit, just the ability to have that free treat. However, Turbo Drive and Rebel GX, in a combination with the drives, can take one-hit knockouts in big situations. So 2-2 of that. One Magearna. Now this is the only one of these three that I'm trying this card in. With the Change Close ability, once during your turn you may put a Pokemon tool attached to one of your Pokemon into your hand. Basically it's just a way of saving your drives. Like if you don't need it on a certain turn on a Silvally and so you want to save it, you can play it onto something else. You can pick it up with Magearna, put it on something else. If you have a Sycamore in your hand but you don't have a Type Null or a Silvally down, you can just play the drive onto Magearna or something else, and then Magearna can put it right back into your hand after you discard everything else. So it's just a way of conserving the drives, as once they're discarded there's no way of getting them back. So it's a very cool tech that I've actually liked quite a bit in this deck. One Dawnwing's Necrozma-GX. I know that, I mean, with the deck relying on this enough, you would kind of want to run two. However, Lapras just being able to free treat, you don't have to just retreat back into Lapras. You have other attackers like Silvally, Lele, Fini. Like, you have different things that you can attack with. So even though Necrozma is very, very nice for the strategy, it's not absolutely necessary. So only one. And then if you were to run two Necrozma, I would actually probably get rid of this Mewtwo with Psychic. However, Mewtwo can be nice for just one-shotting different things, like particularly Buzzwole. If you get rid of Mewtwo, I would try to fit in another Psychic Memory so that you have an easier time of one-shotting Buzzwole, or at least getting a big amount of damage off on it, as this deck can struggle with it otherwise. Two Lele, just because Lele is kind of the best card in the meta right now. Two Lapras, only two, because we're also running one Tapu Fini as well, so you have three targets for Aqua Patch and Max Elixir early on. Just maximize the amount of opportunities you have for different situations and your ability to deal with whatever situation that you need. So I mean, it's a kind of complicated Pokemon line, but it does actually work out pretty well, and you can actually end up with what you need when you need it more often than not. So it's kind of cool in that regard. And then as for the items, it's all about attacking and consistency, except for the drive. So we're just going to ignore the fact that the drives are there, and I'm going to say that this whole thing is about consistency, because you have 4 Aqua Patch, 4 Max Elixir. Just get the Lapras and the Fini set up as quickly as possible so that you can hit for a ton of damage early on. 1 Field Blower, as, I mean, we don't really, I mean, okay, we are bugged by abilities being shut off. However, we don't mind all that much, as we can play around that with like Guzma to take out the Gardevoir, stuff like that. So I mean, yes, this deck does like having abilities, but it isn't just completely shut down by not having them. So 1 Field Blower is enough. Also gets rid of opposing stadiums, opposing choice bands, that type of thing. 1 Rescue Stretcher, as we do like having energy in the discard pile due to Aqua Patch. Just be careful not to overextend yourself. Rescue Stretcher lets us recur our Pokemon when we need it, mainly Type Null and Silvally. 4 Ultra Ball to guarantee to get what we want when we want. And as for the supporters, 4-2-2 of Sycamore and Cynthia. This is the line that Aurabomb used, so I just kind of went with it, and it worked out well. I mean, I still have not found a good line that I like, so I'm just kind of sticking with whatever is there, and it seems to work out really no matter what line I end up using, except in really random situations. So I mean, this line works. It works nicely for this deck. You want to have Sycamore because you like discarding stuff. You like throwing stuff in the discard pile, as Silvally and Aqua Patch both get accelerate energy out of the discard pile onto your Mon. So Sycamore is the reason that this is the main draw supporter in the deck. 3 Guzma and 1 Brigette, just fairly straightforward and self-explanatory on those. 2 choice bands to hit harder, and then as for the drives, running 1 electric, 1 psychic. Because of the Mewtwo, that's why we only have 1 psychic. However, if you do get rid of the Mewtwo, I would say that you want another psychic, and then try to find another place for Necrozma. Don't know necessarily where it would go, but it works out pretty well. 2 fighting memories in order to become a fighting type, to hit those fighting weaks like Zoroark in particular. Fire Memory for metal and grass, and then electric, just, it's funny, it's electric memory, but it turns you into a lightning type. They really need to get some consistency on that, but regardless, electric memory turns you into a lightning type for those lightning weak Pokemon. And then we have 2 DCEs and 11 water to, statistically speaking, be able to hit Max Elixir whenever we play it. So yeah, that is the deck. I have rambled for way too long. I apologize for that. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Ah, my bad. No, sorry guys, I forgot to press record. So yeah, we are obviously in one. No idea what my opponent is running, but oops, my bad. So we start off with something I can work with. I'd prefer if I had an Ultra Ball or something, that way I could make use of my Aqua Patch, but otherwise this isn't horrible. So Fighting Memory, not sure if it's going to do much. I think I'm just going to attach the Water Energy to type Null, and then Cynthia, see if I can get something else. And I get, well, I get this, which isn't amazing, but I can work with it. At least I think I can. So he has Diancie, which tells me that this is going to be a Gardevoir deck, so we now know what we're up against. Really, I'm just going to have to try to snipe out the Raltses and Kirlias early if I want to be able to have a chance, because otherwise Gardevoir is just going to be able to overpower me, simply due to the fact that it can hit pretty insanely hard, all things considered. And I have no true way of being able to get an Oko immediately back on it, so I just have to try to take those out as quickly as possible if I want to have a chance against this deck. So that's really what the game plan is going to be. My opponent does attach the energy, so he will be able to evolve turn 1, and he does get a Lele. So maybe going for a Brigette or something like that. Goes for a Cynthia, okay, so he must not have had anything else in his hand in terms of draw supporters for this coming turn. So yeah, I mean, I started off mediocrely. I don't know, my start was very mediocre. I couldn't say mediocrely just for whatever reason. I don't know, I was having trouble saying it. But, ooh, he does start single Ralts. Does he get another one down? Because if he doesn't, then what I can do is actually take that thing out immediately. He will Sparkling Wish into the Kirlia, but this opens up an opportunity for us to be able to start taking prizes relatively early, because what I can already do is just go ahead and evolve Silvally, or evolve my type Null into Silvally, and then I will go ahead and Guzma up the Kirlia. I mean, Mewtwo is going to be able to have the free retreat thanks to Silvally, and even though I top decked a draw supporter, I would rather take out that Kirlia early, just so that I would be able to, you know, take that thing out, take the threat out, and be ahead on prizes. So now I'm in a pretty good spot. I mean, I have a Cynthia's draw supporter for next turn. I can always just attach to Mewtwo. Hopefully I can get something else going. I'd like to get an Ultra Ball, just so I can discard some energy in order to be able to most effectively use Turbo Drive and be able to accelerate energy onto my bench Pokemon while I'm taking knockouts. And my opponent does go ahead and gets the Ralts back with the Rescue Stretcher. I mean, that's to be expected. If he gets another Ralts, then this is starting to look somewhat iffy for me. Yeah, he's going to get another Ralts. So now I can't just focus down the only Raltses that he has out there. I have to be somewhat careful. with how I go ahead and try to take out the Ralts. Is like I have to prioritize what I want to knock out. Unfortunately, my Mewtwo does not do extra damage if Mewtwo has energy on it as well. I mean, I kind of, like, I already knew, but I was like, well, maybe I missed something on the card anyway. And if my opponent gets a third Ralts, then that is just going to be really, really bad news for us. If he's able to get that third Ralts, then that's going to be something that I don't think I can overcome. Luckily, he does grab the Kirlia, so that's something that I can definitely work around. I mean, he will be able to get a Kirlia next turn. He'll be able to Sparkling Wish. And at this point, I just have to go for Cynthia and kind of hope that I'm going to be able to knock out or just take out the Raltses in time. And he actually Sparkling Wishes and doesn't get a Kirlia. Apparently, he didn't check to make sure that he had one in the deck. So that was kind of a waste of an Ultra Ball right there, because what he could have done was Sparkling Wished into Kirlia, Ultra Ball for a Gardevoir, and gotten set up. But unfortunately, I mean, he Ultra Balled for the Kirlia, which took the last Kirlia out of the deck, which he obviously couldn't use because, you know, the Kirlia was in his hand, so he just essentially lost an evolution right there, and he did realize his mistake and decided to concede the game. So, yep, pretty solid first game, I guess. Let's go ahead and try to find another one. Alrighty, we have found another one against Rathin with... well, it looks like this is going to be a Garchomp Lucario deck. I'm not going to lie, this is one of my least favorite decks to face in the standard format right now, just because whenever I use it, no matter the list, it does not seem to work as well as I want it to, and whenever I go up against it, my opponent is always able to get like 3 Garchomps and 2 Lucarios set up by like turn 2 or turn 3, so yeah, Garchomp is just not a deck that I particularly like to face. And I start off with something less than optimal. I mean, if I get in Water Energy, then I can definitely work with this hand. But this hand is not necessarily something that I like. Let's see, do I get anything? And, well, I mean, I got the Brigette, which can work. So I'm just, honestly, I'm just kind of hoping that I draw into a Water Energy right now, because that would make it a pretty solid start, just because I'd be able to get 2 energy immediately and then go from there. I wouldn't even have to bridge it. I could just do whatever I needed to. And unfortunately, I will have to get my Silvally up in order to be able to free treat out my Magearna. I mean, I like the Magearna, but I mean, it does have a habit of, when I've been testing, to get stuck in the active spot. And my opponent gets a Gible and a Riolu. So what I'm going to do, I unfortunately don't get a Water Energy, but what I think I'm going to try to do is, let's just go ahead and get rid of the Brigette. I really don't think I'm going to need it all that much. Let's get a Lapras or a Fini. Do I want a Lapras or a Fini? I think Lapras will be the play for now, because, I mean, even Magearna has a single retreat cost that I can work with. So let's just go ahead and Max Elixir, see if I can hit both of these on the Lapras. Because, I mean, worst case scenario, I just end up going into it. I just end up trying to retreat into it and collecting for 3 cards, which, okay, I do get the energy. So do I get another one? Oh, man, if I hit that last Max Elixir, I would have been able to one-shot the... I would have been able to just take out the Gible immediately, which would have been absolutely gigantic. So unfortunately, don't get a type null, but this is actually okay with me, because, I mean, I'm able to collect, get a couple cards, and if I get a supporter this coming turn, and if I get a Water Energy this coming turn, sorry, I will be able to one-shot the Gible. I'll even be able to one-shot Garchomp, no matter what it does. So, I mean, unless it gets like a giant cape, which I don't even think, actually, I'm pretty positive that it's not legal in standard. So my opponent is just going to go ahead and grab the Gabite, and that thing is 100% going to ascend into a Garchomp, and this is why I like having the ability to hit for 160 damage, because I will be able to knock out Garchomp in one hit, so he will ascend, and this actually works out very well for me because he's attaching to the Garchomp, and I'm just going to be able to knock that thing out if I happen to draw into a Water Energy. So unfortunately, I don't draw into an energy, and I do have a Silvally that I'd kind of like to keep as well as my Rescue Stretcher. But taking out this Garchomp is of utmost importance right now, And I can... Wow. So I do not draw into a single water energy. This is big. So what I'm going to have to do is Ultra Ball, grab nothing. I'm really just trying to fish. I'm trying to fish like crazy at this point. Ultra Ball, get rid of both of those to grab nothing again, so that I can draw into 3 cards, hopefully 1 water energy. That is all I need, is just a single... I mean, all I needed was a single water energy, and it was like, hey, we know you wanted water energy, and we feel bad for not giving it to you last turn, so here's 3. Well, 2 and an Aqua Patch, which essentially turns into 3. So yeah, I will be able to knock out the Lapras, and if I'm able to get a Silvally, I will be able to rush in and retreat, or whatever the ability is with the Dawn Week's Necrozma, and I'll be able to come in and then retreat back into Lapras in order to take the knockout. And so my opponent puts up a Oranguru and does just have to pass. So if I can get Silvally, that would actually be incredibly ideal. So let's go ahead and attach to the Fini, and then let's instruct. See if we can get a Silvally or something. I get an N. I don't want to N just because that's not... do I want to do that? Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Like, this is... I don't know. I'm really fishing at this point. Like, I'm just kind of going for it. And unfortunately, still don't get drawn to any way of getting a... still don't draw into any way of getting a... I don't even know what I'm trying to say. The Silvally, wow, I just completely lost my train of thought, like insane. Like I just was like, okay, wait, what am I playing again? Let's go ahead and get rid of both choice bands because I don't need those, and I kind of want to play my hand down a little bit in case Oranguru is able to do something. So let's go ahead and do that. And I just have to pass the turn. So unfortunately, that was a very not good turn for me because I gave my opponent a new hand, and I was not able to take a knockout. If I was able to take a knockout on the Oranguru, then my Lapras would probably just be able to come in and just destroy something. So this is starting to get kind of interesting, because as soon as I'm able to take out the Garchomp, like if I'm just able to take out the Garchomps one by one, my opponent really can't do anything. And so what I might try to do is snipe those down with Tapu Fini. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and attach. Let's attach to Fini. And then, you know what? I'm just going to Ice Beam GX, because if he Rare Candies into Garchomp... Actually, if he Rare Candies into Garchomp and Cynthia, that could be bad. But he needs to have Rare Candy, Garchomp, and DCE in order to be able to... knock out my Lapras, which he does not have. And what I could have always done is just gone into Fini and well, I guess I couldn't have used the GX attack because I just used it on Lapras, but Lapras still can attack right now, and what I can do this coming turn is actually retreat my Lapras out and snipe down the Gabite, and there we go. Okay, get my Ultra Ball, let's grab nothing. Oops, kind of sort of forgot that I discarded my Garchomps in my way, or discarding my Silvallies in my ways of getting it. So I'm just going to DCE up the Lapras, go into Fini. Let's instruct with Oranguru, see if I can get something that I can work with. It's an N. Do I want to play that? Yeah, because I'm going to be down to 3 cards, and then my opponent he'll get 6, but at the same time, I'll still be able to take out his Gabite that has all the energy. So now he is not anywhere near being able to attack with a Garchomp. So just by continually taking those things out, I'm putting myself in an amazing spot. And the second that I get a Silvally, I'll be able to come in and retreat for free just to reset the Lapras. And then, okay, my opponent does end me. That is fine. The less he is Cynthia-ing, the better. And then I get a bunch of drives and a Tapu Lele. So, we get another Gabite. I might just want to take out this Oranguru with my Lapras, to be honest. Get a Water Energy. What can I do? So let's go ahead and... Where do I want to place this energy? Let's go ahead and put it onto the Necrozma. I'm kind of fishing for a Guzma right here, if I can, because if I can get a Guzma, that'd actually be amazing. And I do. Wow, that was a pretty awesome top deck, because what I can do is Guzma up my opponent's Gabite and then knock that thing out with Lapras. And what I did by attaching the energy onto the Necrozma was allowed that thing to be able to come in and retreat and manually retreat this next turn with 2 energy. So we're able to take out the Gabite, and I draw a prize, and there's my Silvally, so I don't even need the energy on my Dawn Wings Necrozma anymore. So yeah, I mean, like, technically it was wasted, but I mean, I still stand by my play. If I didn't draw into the Sylveon, then that was the best play that I had. So yeah, Oranguru, I mean, my Lapras technically can't attack, but I will just be able to evolve into Silvally and then rush in and retreat, which will just reset everything and put me in a pretty solid spot. So my opponent is going to go ahead and instruct. Gets let's see, does he get anything? He gets a Cynthia, and he's starting to get a Gabite powered up. So the thing is, do I want to try to take that thing out? Oh, I get a DCE, which I can work with. Let's attach to Silvally. Energy up Silvally, and then instruct. See if I can get something I can work with, and that definitely counts. So that is actually pretty amazing for me, because what this means is I am 1 energy away from being able to Hydro Shot with Tapu Fini. And now what this means is I can just go straight into Lapras, take a knockout with Blizzard Burn, and then no matter what my opponent does this coming turn, I should be able to draw on the cards to win, because all I need to do is just draw into an energy of any kind, or draw into an Aqua Patch that I can put onto the Tapu Fini, which would allow me to snipe down the Lucario, because even if my opponent gets a Rare Candy into Garchomp on the bench for the Gibble, I'll still be able to knock out the Lucario, because the Lucario only has 110 HP. So I'm pretty sure I have the win, especially because my opponent has to Cynthia to get the knockout. I mean, if he didn't knock out my Lapras, then I would have been able to just rush in and retreat and then knock out the Garchomp. So he had to Cynthia. That meant that I get a keep my hand, and now I can guarantee draw out the rest of my deck for that single water energy that I need to win the game. So let's just go ahead and promote Oranguru, because I do have the free retreat, and I even top deck into the water energy, but you saw my hand. I could have just Sycamored into the water energy or the Aqua Patch, really whatever I needed to get that final energy on to the Tapu Fini, which would allow me to snipe down that Lucario and win the game. So that actually ended up being a pretty sick game, all things considered, just being able to go up against a deck that is considered somewhat meta and show exactly what this deck is supposed to do. And like, my opponent didn't particularly draw dead. Like, it wasn't like he just didn't get anything going at all. Like, he was getting stuff going, but this deck showed exactly what it was supposed to do against that type of matchup. Namely, I was able to just snipe down with Tapu Fini whatever he was trying to get set up, and by preventing the Garchomps from getting set up, I put myself in a position that by the time he finally did get a Garchomp going with Royal Blades, that all I needed to do is take one last prize that I could once again use Tapu Fini's sniping ability for to take out the Lucario. So, I mean, it's not like my opponent drew dead, like I said. I mean, he actually drew well and played well. This deck just did what this deck is supposed to do, and so I'm really glad that I was able to show that. But anyway, that's going to be it, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.